possible to make music anymore? That tape is not something any singer-songwriter should take any pride in at all. It is horrifying and has to be one of the worst interpretations of an art form that I have ever had the misfortune to hear. Why don't you do something positive and clean up your act? Isn't there enough garbage?
Yeah, that was one angry letter Green Day received in 1996. But before diving into the full letter and Green Day's response, let's set the stage with some context. Green Day's 1994 breakthrough album Dookie catapulted them into international fame. With hits like Basket Case, Welcome to Paradise, and When I Come Around, the band became a staple on MTV and the radio. But fame came at a cost. As you can see in more detail in one of my previous videos, critics labeled them as sellouts. Fans, from their punk roots, turned away, and they were even banned from playing in their alma mater venue. This is why Green Day eventually followed up Dookie with Insomniac. This 1995 record was, according to the band, them trying to cut off the bullshit on its tracks and just keep making music. They were just trying to make a record that was true to them and not worry about what anyone else thought. And as Trey added, they wanted to go back to their punk roots and make a more aggressive hardcore punk record. And that's what they did. With heavier hardcore punk sounds, they released Insomniac, with several aggressive tracks such as Jaded, and covering heavy issues like drug abuse in Gig Stink Breath. And this is where we meet the main character of our story. Though the identity of this woman is unknown, for the rest of the story, we're gonna call her Karen. I think it's kind of fitting. As we can see in this letter made public by Billie Joe, Karen caught her 8-year-old son listening to Insomniac, as it was a gift from his grandmother. She was outraged by the album's explicit lyrics and criticized the lack of clear warnings either on the album or in the store. She proceeds her letter by saying,
Isn't it possible to make music anymore? That tape is not something any singer-songwriter should take any pride in at all. It is horrifying and has to be one of the worst interpretations of an art form that I have ever had the misfortune to hear. I know it's possible for the group to make good music because I have heard them sing before. For example, the song entitled When I Come Around is one of my son's favorites. It's the song that he and his dad sang together whenever it was on MTV or they were driving in the car together. Unfortunately, one doesn't have to sing trash to have a following, and if that creates such a following, one would do well to wonder exactly what type of people he wants following him. This may do nothing to change the type of music performed or change your views on the art of making music, but it helps me to know that there is one less family who will be buying such rubbish, and I have a big mouth, so I'll make everyone I know aware. That tape is trash, as you can plainly see, and you'll find it enclosed. Why don't you do something positive and clean up your act? Isn't there enough garbage in the world? All the thoughts you're helping to put in the minds of the youth is scary. You have so much influence. Why not use it for something good?
And how did Green Day respond? Well, that brings us directly to Green Day's following album, Nimrod. Billie Joe not only replied to her directly, but also wrote a song about this specific incident. Reject is the 14th track on this 1997 release, and the song jabs directly at Karen. He openly declares that he refuses to adjust his behavior to satisfy a single individual, and the lines directly echo Billie Joe's frustration with being told how to create his art. Then in the chorus, his ironic use of the term Reject All-American highlights his willingness to accept and own this title.
So when the smoke clears, here I am. You're Reject All-American. Suck it up to social sex, making you a nervous wreck. Telling back an arrogant I'm gone. You're not my type. Not my type.
The actual letter reply was also shared by Billie Joe on his social media. I just received your letter, and this is my response. I don't write music for parents, grandparents, or 8-year-olds. I write music for myself, and I'll say anything I damn well please. That's the difference between you and me. I do what I want, you do what you're told. Obviously, we're not on the same planet, let alone the same ballpark. I find people like you offensive, and it helps me to know you won't be buying any more of our records. Next time, I suggest you do a little research before you purchase such rubbish for your little boy. It might save you a few extra bucks. Billie Joe and the rest of Green Day. P.S. You're right about one thing. You do have a big mouth. We can see that Billie Joe clearly inspired himself off this letter reply in the song.
What's the difference between you and me? I do what I want, and you do what you're told. So listen and shut the hell up. It's no big deal, and I'll see you in hell.
Now, this is definitely one of the most defiant tracks in Nimrod, but there are way more across the band's discography. So as I told you before, even though Dookie was not Green Day's first release, it is definitely a huge influential and rich album. To know all the stories behind each track and why they got banned from East Bay's most legendary punk venue, check my deep dive on the album. Also, don't forget to check my own music and see you guys in the next video.